All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw together my bingo card for the World of Warcraft reveal that's happening this Tuesday at Gamescom. The way I currently have my bingo card set up here is the free space in the middle is Xalatath, and then working from the inside out, I'm going to do on the inside. I'm going to have like the more realistic predictions of what I think is coming with Midnight. And then on the outside, I'll have maybe some other wishful thinking type of things for Midnight. So obviously, the free space is Xalatath. Xalatath's going to be a major character in this expansion as well, just like she was in War Within. After the Demencius cinematic, it seems like she was able to contain him within the Dark Heart, and so she left a pretty ominous threat for Ilaria, saying that she was coming for what Ilaria cared about most, which in my mind is probably her
Was
family.
her son? Yeah, her son and Toralian.
Yeah, definitely. One of the two. I don't know exactly which one it's going to be, but my guess is probably Terralian, which is really unfortunate because I love Terralian's voice actor, Travis Willingham. He played a Night Elf character in the SI7 before during Miss Pandaria. Great voice actor. Love him in everything he shows up in. But I really think Terralian is dead.
He's probably
I
gonna
think
die.
I think they're gonna kill him off. They haven't really known what to do with him since the introduction of him. Basically, like he was important in Legion, but after that, it was basically like he just sat on the sidelines, not doing a whole lot. He was in charge of um, Stormwind while Anduin was kidnapped to the Maw, and then after
Yeah.
Anduin went on his own little vision quest to pull himself together after Shadowlands. It seemed like he was still in charge. And I really think Blizzard doesn't know what to do with him. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't, not even part of the War Within, really. He had a little bit of a conversation with Ilaria, but it does seem like that's the direction they're going to go. I was originally going to say Erator was going to be killed, but I really don't think Blizzard would do that. This character that's gotten like zero screen time, basically. He showed up in TBC, and then he had a little bit of a role to play in the horrific visions when he got like sucked through that void portal by the corrupted Ilaria. But I think, if anything, I think he's going to be a major character in the rest of the World Soul Saga going forward, because obviously he's going to want to protect Silvermoon, I would imagine. But
Yeah.
um, I really don't know what they're gonna do with him. He's supposed to be like this child of light and shadow, with Terralion being the dad and Ilaria being his mom, and that kind of blends both together. He's supposed to be appearing in the new novel that's coming out for Midnight, but I don't know how heavily he's gonna feature in the Midnight storyline. But that's my
He's
first
probably
prediction.
gonna be a decent part of a main character in the novel. I don't know how well they're gonna translate that into the actual game when he's dashing front and center for the most part. Well, probably in my prediction, if they ever want to do something with him, he's probably gonna be a pretty main part of the first patch of Midnight. At least that's how I view it. It's either whichever one of the three patches they do is probably gonna correlate to the family. So one patch is gonna be Eritol, the second part will be Terralia, and then the third patch will probably be uh what's her name herself?
Ilaria.
Alaria. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll split the story up like that in terms of like progression. I definitely think like maybe Tyrellian dies right off the bat. Like that could even be in the cinematic, which would be a bummer, but like it would definitely be like a high stakes situation. I do think that Blizzard would want to kill someone off in like the actual game. but I definitely think Turalian is like dead. Eretor is obviously going to be a main character, I would imagine, getting a new model and everything.
Yeah.
Um, Quel'Thalas is obviously going to be the main area that we're in, so it's going to need a revamp so that it's got to be bigger, better.
Has it has to be bigger, at least double the size what it is
Yeah, there's
now.
no way with every zone in War Within being as big as it is, and then every zone basically since Shadowlands zones were pretty big, but Dragonflight definitely stretched the zones out even more because you're moving so fast. And so
Yeah.
Quel'Thalas has to be way bigger because with dragon riding, I'm assuming you could probably fly across the zone in like nothing, like just like a second. And so there's going to need to be some travel time. So Quel'Thalas is definitely going to get a way massive revamp. I don't know how many of the zones they're going to touch because obviously like the Blizzard's philosophy these days, which is like unfortunate that's so predictable now, but it's like 4 zones, 8 dungeons, stuff like that. And so okay, obviously Quel'Thalas, um it's made up of 2 zones, Eversong Woods and the Ghostlands. And so obviously those 2 zones are going to get touched up and expanded upon. And then I really don't know what's going to happen with the other 2 zones. My mind is obviously Isle of Quel Danos as a good candidate to be like a fully fledged zone, fleshed out, way bigger than it was in TBC. Because even though it was like a really good questing area in TBC, like it's got to be way bigger. And then most of that island wasn't even like utilized properly. It was like the whole bottom side of that map was just like there was no quest to do there. There was no mobs most of the time, and so I really
Yeah,
think
there
that
was no real
that's.
point to that.
But
It's
other than that, I really don't know. Like maybe Eastern Kingdoms because it's so close to Quel'Thalas. Part of me also thinks that like maybe the Draenei areas could get touched up because Blood Elf and Draenei they're kind of like the mirror of each other, and so if they're gonna revamp all the Blood Elf areas, it makes sense to revamp the Draenei areas as well. Um, they did hint that the Draenei are either building like a city or they're fixing the Exodar up so that it's like actually functional. So that would definitely be cool. But this is definitely one of those predictions that I think um, is going to be like it's less likely. So I put the Draenei Zone revamp in one of my less likely to happen squares.
yeah, that's fair. Do you
Um,
think I do you think when during midnight the Void Elves are gonna get we're gonna get like an offshoot, kind of like we had the Eridar uh customization for the Draenei. We were gonna get the High Elf customization.
I've seen a lot of people talking about that. People have been begging for high elf customization forever. I really don't know if Blizzard's going to do it. I feel like for the most part we kind of have high elf customization. The only thing that I think that we really don't is like a lot of the void elf hairstyles are like designed to be like that kind of goth vibe, and so that doesn't really match
Yeah,
up with the high elf aesthetic. So giving them like full access to both like the blood elf hair and then maybe some new hairstyles, um, I think that would be interesting for sure, but I really don't know. So I would put that in like a less likely to happen high elf customization. Maybe I should. It doesn't matter. Customization. Probably spelled that wrong. Yeah. Customization. So yeah, I think that's less likely to happen, but you never know. With Quel'Thalas getting like massively redone, we could always get some new high elf customization options given to us. One thing that I do think is pretty likely in terms of what's going to happen in the expansion, I do think we're going to get like Zulamon as a either like a. This is another thing I was thinking. Fourth zone Zulamon fully fleshed out
as its own
as its own like
zone.
zone. Yeah, because I feel like
Oh,
the dungeon was like that dungeon is expansive, but it's supposed to be like a whole lot more. Like there's a whole lot more going on in Zul'Aman than just that. When you look at the old maps of World of Warcraft, especially in like Warcraft 3, there was
yeah.
it was huge. Zul'Aman was like massive. And so I think it would be awesome because obviously every zone, every expansion that has like a troll zone uh is pretty good. Like BFA is like probably the least good
It's
expansion that
yeah.
features like some troll stuff, but like Wrath of Lich King, great expansion. Uh so I really feel like having like a troll dungeon because there's no way they don't do Zul'Aman. We're going back to Quel'Thalas. Zul'Aman was introduced in the Burning Crusade, and they redid it in Cataclysm, but like even in Burning Crusade, like Quel'Thalas was not the focus of the expansion at all. Like it was obviously Outland, but they still made the time to go and make that Suleiman dungeon. So I feel like if you do an expansion that is focused in Quel'Thalas, like there has to be some kind of Suleiman storyline, either a dungeon or it being a whole zone. Obviously, I'm leaning towards whole zone because I'm just obsessed with the whole troll aesthetic in WoW. It's so cool to me. So
I feel
getting
like
like,
it.
yeah, go ahead.
Uh, because it's for a lot of the troll aesthetics. I feel like the only time we've ever gotten a real troll aesthetic was in BFA, and that has been like the only time where
Yeah,
we really leaned into it.
I agree. Um, I do think that like troll stuff is like always really good. People love it. Um, So it getting its own zone slash dungeon is definitely like a good. We haven't had troll stuff in a while because Shadowlands didn't have any. Dragonflight, no trolls. Um, War Within, no trolls, and so it's time for trolls. Everyone loves trolls, so it's like a no brainer to include them in the thing. One thing I was thinking would be interesting, and this is something I'm going to put in like the less likely category, just because I don't know like if Blizzard would actually do it. But I think it would be cool
Yeah.
because all the delves in the War Within have been like underground or in some kind of like indoor space. I think it'd be cool to get some outdoor delves.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
great. Yeah, for once.
yeah, and just something that I was thinking would be like those troll villages on the outskirts of Zulaman. That being like a delve where you go into the village and like do something, stop a ritual, or kill some trolls or something. I really don't know how the trolls are going to get involved in the expansion. Like, if they're just be like, hey, the void is weakening the elves, maybe we can hit them from the southern flank and weaken them even more and take back our homeland type of thing. Or maybe they're like void corrupted elves. I know Malacras, that the witch doctor in the dungeon was like, he was like kind of warlocky, kind of shadow priesty. So, like,
Oh
I wouldn't
yeah.
be surprised if he had some kind of connection with the void and they could use that to bring it out. But I do think some outdoor delves would be cool. I'm tired of like being cooped up inside every delve being like a cave or a mine or some kind of complex underground. So I think some outdoor delves would be cool, especially with how beautiful like all of Quel'Thalas is. It would be a shame to like have every delve be like a cave again.
I agree. I think most of the player base is just tired of being underground in a confined space, and they want to be outside, which is why that's why they like the new zone right now, Koresh, because it's an outdoor zone for once,
Yeah.
and
Even though
they
it's like
have been.
it's like stuck in space.
It's just space,
It
but
is nice to have that kind of freedom.
yeah,
Plus the uh the skybox for Koresh is like wow. You know, it's like stunning to look around out there.
it's
So I
yeah,
wouldn't be
it's one of the
surprised if
best
we get
skyboxes.
some outdoor delve content. It's still less likely. Something I definitely think is coming is Sunwell Raid. I don't know exactly when or how this is gonna slot in. Part of me thinks that like Xalatath is just beelining it to the Sunwell because it's like who's gonna stop her, And so maybe like the
Mhm.
Sunwell and the Isle of Quel'Danas is like already fallen and taken over by the Void by the time by the time the expansion even happens. Maybe some of the pre-patch is us like losing Quel'Thalas. I think that would be cool. But obviously the Sunwell has to be some kind of raid. Maybe they give it kind of like a revamp so that it's not nearly as uh, similar to how it was in TBC. But like, this is gonna be one of the few times where have we really gotten like a raid revamp before? I feel like the only time we've come close is like
No.
Zul'Gurub got turned into a dungeon and Samazulaman, but like we haven't really like redone a raid, right? Like I guess if you want to count like Nax Rams and stuff, but those weren't really redone. They were just kind of copy paste into Wrath
They
of
were
Lich
copy
King.
paste, yeah, into the level 80 uh, content, which they still functionally acted the same. Still
Yeah.
had basically the same mechanics as they did in Classic.
So I think it would be
Uh,
interesting if they did like a full revamp of the raid because obviously you can't have the same bosses or anything, but like make it look
yeah,
better, high res everything. Obviously, it's got to look gorgeous with the Blood Elf aesthetic. Um, a lot of people didn't get to do Sunwell, myself included. When I started playing in TBC, I was like 14, and
same.
I was not good at the game. I did get to raid. I got to do like all of tier 4. I stepped foot into tier 5 and had a lot of fun doing the Eye and Serpentine Caverns, but the later fights were just too much for my guild back in the day. So I never got to see Sunwell, which was like a bummer. Um, but I did a lot of Zulumon. Great raid. I loved that raid. It was one of the few raids that I did where like I just never got bored. Every time I was there, I was like, hell yeah, we're going for the timer. We're not going to get the timer because we're not very well geared, but like we're going for it. And that was like a really fun part of it. Um, what do you think is something that's pretty likely with the expansion reveal?
Well, yeah, at least with the expansion reveal, I feel like they're gonna probably release more information about player housing. We already know most of what we're gonna get for player housing and how the uh how the neighborhood system works. I think we're also gonna get. I would like for them to explain more about what zones we're gonna get. If or more information about Silver Moon, if we're gonna get an entire revamp of that city, or what they're gonna do with Old Lordaeron.
So you think like what, new neighborhoods or something? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if we're gonna get new neighborhoods that aren't just the we have for right now for like the Horde and Human. I hope we're gonna get some of Blood Elf aesthetic. Well, they're probably gonna have to do Blood Elf aesthetic and Draenei and probably
Yeah,
Worgen to a lot of the different races.
I definitely think that's like a given. I do think like um, we have to get new neighborhood. We have to get more neighborhoods. I really think that like the problem with the Horde is that it's so they're so vastly different in terms of like aesthetic. You've got the Tauren that are like in the plains and the mountains, the mesas. Then you've got the orcs that are in like the Cheeto Desert of Duratar and like the plains of the Barrens
The
and
Barons.
um, like the oases of the Barrens because there was definitely like some oasis vibes going on with some of the neighborhood that they showed for Horde. But like
Mhm.
the undead are so vastly different, like haunted, spooky forest. The blood elves are so different, like eternally locked in autumn type of forest. So I really think, yeah, new neighborhoods are definitely a must. Obviously, people want new housing, um, customization. I don't want to be walking into my house and it looks like a orc hut on the
Or
outside,
cut.
essentially, and I'm a blood elf.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to live in that. I want to live in an elf house. It's fine to start with if we just need to get the preliminary stuff sorted out. But like, I remember Warlords of Draenor, and I remember the Garrison. There was like the only Blood Elf customization you could do was like, here's Blood Elf guards in your garrison, yay! But the buildings were all bah, like horde. That's all it
They
was.
were all horde aesthetic. Well, at that point, it was just the Iron Horde, just orc
Yeah.
strongholds. Yeah, so I really hope I'm sure they're gonna fix that up. So as that's not the case, we don't have a garrison. I
Something I also think is
wait.
likely is Lorthamar and Thalysra. Is that her name? Thalysra. Thalysra, the two, the Blood Elf leader and the Nightborn leader. I do think that they're going to be like major characters in the expansion. Obviously, they just got married off screen. Unfortunately, we didn't get to witness that as players, but it did happen. So Lorthamar, this is obviously his capital that is going to be under siege, so he's going to be a major player. Thalysra is probably going to be a major player. She's a very powerful mage and married to Lorthamar, and her people basically make Silvermoon their home now too. And so
Yeah,
they have just as much to lose from its destruction as the Blood Elves. And so I definitely think that they're going to be main characters together in the expansion. It would be nice to see some Horde characters actually do some stuff. With War Within, we had all Alliance characters pretty much. Alaria,
yeah.
Katar,
There's
Jaina.
no like,
Thrall was there for 15 minutes at the beginning. He watched Dalaran explode. He's like, dude, peace
dude,
out.
this
And
is
he just
fucked up.
dipped. He's like, yeah. He's like, I see some big ass spiders. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm going to go back to wherever the hell. I don't even, it's a tangent, but like, where the hell does Thrall live? Was that in the Grand? Like in that cinematic with Sarfang? Is he just living
Yeah,
in
that was in
Outland?
the grand. Hmm.
So yeah, he pieced it. He went back to the Grand. He's like, I don't want to deal with this shit. I'm out. I'm going back home. I'm gonna hang out with my wife and my son, who's like a teenager now, which is crazy to me. Um, but yeah, he was out pretty quick. So I'd love to see some more Horde character importance this expansion.
Exactly. I want the horde to actually, players feel good for playing the horde because they're actually getting representation in the game for it. I hope
Yeah.
one of the new things I'm really hope, which probably what we're gonna get, is new difficulty systems. I
Oh, you talking about the
really
world tier
hope
thing?
world tier that we're getting in remakes. I hope it's not just a one-time thing. And get a version of that in retail, where it'll act just like war mode, and we'll get more loot, more gold for participating in harder content.
Yeah. I think that's a less likely thing, so I'm gonna put it in this corner here. World tier difficulty. That was definitely one of the coolest things that they announced as part of the Legion remix was a world tier because it does feel like World of Warcraft for the most part. It's just too damn easy. Like just the
This
leveling. I'm not saying that like, and this is why I think it'd be nice to have it as just an option because if I just want to turn my brain off and do my dailies or whatever, I can just turn on like World Tier Zero or whatever and just breeze through it. But like if I'm wanting to
that
lock in and I want to like get a little bit more oomph out of my dailies, it would be nice to be able to turn on that world tier difficulty, set it to heroic, and just get better quest rewards. I don't really know how they do it. I think having it be like more rep or something would probably be bad, but like definitely like more gold, better loot drops, stuff like that. Um, I don't know if that's something they're gonna do like right now with Midnight, but the fact that they're putting it in Legion Remix does make it seem like it's pretty well thought out because it's gonna have to slot into the main game anyways. So them slotting it in during Midnight would
mhm.
definitely make sense. But I do think it would be a good change because it does feel like right now that too much of World of Warcraft is just sleeper mode when you're not doing the hardest content in the game and A lot of people don't like that.
It's
It's really weird when you go from like, all right, I'm half asleep at the wheel here doing my dailies, and then I go do a mythic 10, and it's like, okay, now I gotta
now
actually
I
pay
have to
attention.
really pay attention to what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like being able to like warm up doing dailies in the harder mode, I really don't want it to just be like, this guy's got more health, this guy's got more um, damage, so you gotta like hide him and stuff. I'd like it to be like actual
Yeah,
mechanics. Oh, he's spewing stuff everywhere. Oh, he's doing a beam around him. I think that'd be cool. I really hate the difficulty setting in WoW where it's just like I have 300% more health and I do 400% more damage, so you can't stand to get hit by me too much, and you've got to blow me up quick. Like that is the most boring difficulty. Period. I'd love to see some actual mechanics. It did seem like from what they showed in the Legion remix teaser that like that Murloc mob, which I thought was an interesting mob to show, but like the Murloc mob having like shooting out mechanics and stuff like that. Because yeah, I do think world tier difficulty is going to be a really good thing for WoW. I think it's a good thing for Diablo. So it being good for WoW, it does seem like they're trying to push WoW more like Diablo, which is like kind of good, kind of bad in a way. But
I can see
I
that.
do think world tier difficulty settings would be like a really good thing.
What's another system that I think would be pretty good? I would like more, not necessarily. I want like the difficulty of Mage Tower, but in a raid setting for the sole purpose of it being cosmetic. One thing I want to like steal from Final Fantasy is there's a step up between, your normal raid and then a harder version of raid,
Yeah,
which is like this like grand raid where it's like the hardest version of one boss. It's just one boss and it requires perfect coordination. It has to be perfect in every single way. No one can mess up once. And the whole point of it is if you're able to complete it, you get this legendary cosmetic that no one else can have because it's incredibly hard to do. And I think we need more we need more trophies like that where people feel good about overcoming a difficult encounter that's not like a mount or a title. It's not People don't look at the title anymore like they used to. People look at your transmog or your cool weapon that you have. So
yeah,
I feel like that's just a better way to enforce how good you are as a player if you have a really cool weapon to back it up.
yeah. I do think that'd be cool. So what you're talking about, like what, like a solo raid type of challenge or what?
It's not like a solo raid. It's more like it's a group raid.
But
It's
the
kind of like
rewards
a
are
step
only
up,
cosmetic. Are you talking about something harder than Mythics that just gives
harder
customization?
than Mythic. It's just purely cosmetic. It gives you like a cool weapon transmog that you can only get from this raid. There's no one else, nothing else like it. And that's what I want. I think that would be good for
So,
the game.
how exactly would you word that? I guess like um, exclusive, like
Yes, in
raid rewards. I really don't know.
so
Like higher than Mythic.
in Final Fantasy 14, the raids that are above, your regular gearing raid are called ultimates. There's usually one per expansion and sometimes not even, but they're just for cosmetic. That's all
Okay.
they are. That's all that they're for.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that would be kind of cool. Like harder than Mythic. I think that would be kind of interesting. I definitely don't see Blizzard doing that. I do agree that like Mythic should have some um, more of a
It
reason to.
should
I
be
don't
more
really feel a drive
prestige.
to do Mythic, but like at
Yeah.
the same time, like, because right now, like, what's the only thing you get right now for doing, like, pushing the cutting edge content is the cutting edge achievement and getting in the Hall of Fame. So it does seem like it could be cool. Like, if you get into the Hall of Fame, um, maybe you get like some kind of exclusive weapon or something. I don't know if they would do that for such a few amount of players though at the same time. Like, there's definitely something like old Blizzard did, but I don't know if like current Blizzard would do that if I'm being honest.
Yeah, they would have to change the structure between Mythic and this like ultimate version that I'm thinking about because it's basically more for the people who don't want to push for cutting edge or Hall of Fame. They don't want to do the race. They
Right.
just want the really cool transmog with that still has the prestige of a high tier raider. And it's
Gotcha.
more of it's a better way to show off your trophy.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, that would be cool for sure. But like, I don't know if they'll. I think it'd be cool if like maybe there was like a housing cosmetic for stuff like that, and then like people could see
Yeah.
your house and be like, damn, that guy did, super mythic, uh, Zalatath or something.
The ultimate version of Xalatath.
Yeah. Something I do think is, damn, I just had it, but now it's slipping away. Uh, Something I thought that was like this. I don't know if this is gonna be part of the reveal, but I do think it's probably something that's gonna happen in Midnight, like period. Sylvanas return. Um, I do think it's kind of like obvious that Sylvanas would come home to defend her homeland against a void threat. Anduin's already
Yeah.
back from the Maw, so I guess Sylvanas is probably back from the Maw. I don't know what she's doing, going to therapy or whatever. But like, Sylvanas has to come home for midnight. She has to. It would be kind of nice. Like, I don't know if they're gonna write her out of the story, but like, I think it would be kind of nice if uh she like wins this time. You know what I mean? She comes home to defend Silver Moon,
Wins.
and instead of dying at the hands of whatever bad guys invading, she wins this time. Maybe she dies in the process. I don't know if Blizzard would kill off Sylvanas. She's a pretty popular character, but like again, she got kind of massacred during BFA when they just kind of ruined her character. Um, but if she did sacrifice herself to save her people, I think that would be like a good way to write the character out of the story.
Yeah, I feel like there's still a lot they could do with Sylvanas. I want her as much as she deserves to die for what she did to Teldrassil. Uh, I think if they want her to keep her alive and going, they should do like a redemption arc and not just part of the
Part of
what you
the
call it, just staying at the mall, just reviving.
yeah.
What is she doing at the mall? Just reviving.
She's supposed to be like ferrying souls to the Arbiter to be like rejudged or something.
I see. Okay.
That's what I think
Yeah, I
at
hope it's
least.
just I hope it's just not just that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that's like I want to fill out this middle area and get that like squared away. I'm trying to think of something that like is like a definite something that's going to be a part of Midnight. We've already got the Sunwell raid, Suleiman dungeon. Um, I really don't know. I'm trying to think right now. A lot of people are saying they don't think flying is going to be included from the get-go. I guess I'll put that in my outside here. I don't think it would be that bad.
If
I've never been like one of the vocal people who like hates no flying or yeah, who hates no
Yeah,
flying.
I don't like that idea of no flying.
I
But
don't I
I
don't hate the idea. I do think that like it's been executed really poorly in the past, which is like the main problem Blizzard has. Like, it made sense the first time running through Draenor, like maybe we couldn't fly just because like you want to actually explore this place. There's lots of treasures to find and stuff like that, and being able to fly like negated a lot of the treasures. And so I'm not a huge hater on no flying. I do think it needs to come out a hell of a lot faster than it does, because like we didn't get flying till like the ass end of WoD. We didn't get flying till like the middle of Legion. We didn't get flying till like patch 8.2 in BFA. Um, Shadowlands took too long with flying as well. So like, uh, it would be nice to have no flying at the beginning of Qualpha Lost, just to like really immerse myself in the zone and um, really get to like re-explore the Ghostlands and Eversong Woods again. But it does need to come out quick, like end of the campaign
Yeah,
quick.
that's the point. It needs to be quick.
Yeah, once
You
I'm
don't want us
done
to have
doing the
flying.
questing, then get me the hell in the air again.
And
Uh,
it just really depends how to make the geography of the zone, which it already is pretty good at being a ground mount zone for the
yeah.
most part.
Well, it's because it was
But
for like
that's
a really
just
long time. Quel'Thalas was ground mount only, and so it being a ground mount only at the start of Midnight would make sense to me. But like I said, I want flying at the end of the campaign, or when I hit level, uh, what 90, I guess, or I don't know, are they gonna do 85 again? I have no idea. Um, but yeah, get me in the air quick. If we're doing no flying at the start to like reintroduce people to these, because this is the first time that they've like revamped a zone to the point where like I think it's going to be significantly different than the original one. Because when they did the Cataclysm revamp, since all of those zones were still like meant to be like the normal questing experience for the players, they were small,
yeah,
relatively small. And so when you're doing like an end game, not end game, but like an expansion level zone revamp, like they're gonna do with Midnight and Qualthalos, these zones have to be massive. So they're gonna be significantly different. There's gonna be some like familiar geography, obviously, because it wouldn't make sense to not. But like, this is gonna be like a re-exploration of Qualthalos. They're like, hey, this is definitive Qualthalos. This is how beautiful it is. This is how amazing it is. Um, I hope they don't
right.
remove the old ones from the game. That would be kind of a bummer, but like definitely these zones are going to be a whole lot different. So re-exploring them on foot makes sense to me. Let's.
Yeah, no,
What is something that you think is going to be like? What's a definite thing you think is getting revealed? So far, I've got Terralion dying, Erator being one of the main characters, getting a new model, Qualthalos revamp, obviously, Lorthamar and Thalisra, Zulamon Zone slash dungeon, Sunwell raid, new neighborhoods for housing. What is something else that you think is like definitely coming?
definitely coming. Probably a revamped version of the Sunwell, maybe as its own new raid,
Well, I got
something like
both of that.
that.
I got Qualthalos revamp and Sunwell raid, so it's got to be something besides that. Like anything else you think of, like um, I don't really know. Like just what do you think a new delve would be? What do you think would be like a? Oh, you know what? And I guess this.
Master's Terrace would probably be a good delve. Like a
Yeah, maybe Masters Terrace delve. That'd be cool. I was thinking because we've been leveling monks in Mists of Pandaria. Uh, that Ghostlands Catacombs delve. That'd be sweet.
oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that would be a good
I
idea.
think that
Catacombs
could
again.
definitely be something that they do. I'm trying to think of like other delve areas, like maybe I'll just add delve to the Zulaman thing. This text is getting so small I can't even read it. I'll just leave it as it is, I guess. But yeah, some new delves. I guess I'll put Manager's Terrace in maybe like one of the less likely. Um, and I'll just do like revamp because it could be a dungeon, it could be a delve, it could be all sorts of stuff. Manager's Terrace getting a revamp though would be pretty cool. It's a fan favorite dungeon. People love it in time walking. People loved it during TBC. Um,
Right.
so that's definitely a thing. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's gonna be those like elf troll people, the Haranir. No Haranir. I don't think there's gonna be any Haranir in this expansion. At least at the
Yeah.
beginning. Maybe like it's some kind of crazy thing that happens in like a later patch or something that gets explored more like later in the expansion. But I don't think there's gonna be any Haranir stuff um, in this first part of the expansion for sure because um, I don't really think they knew what to do with them. Like she had a very small role during the Undermine stuff, and then she just sort of
Yeah.
dipped.
That's what I
I
mean.
part of me thinks that like the reason that is because Chris Metzen came back like kind of in the middle of Midnight is if what I've heard, like in the middle of developing it, and so a lot of the people think that like the story took like a really weird turn after the initial part of the expansion because Chris Metzen came back, and so they went with his ideas, which I think is like probably better overall. While I did like the first part of War Within, I do think the last part of War Within has been more interesting, like fleshing out Undermine and like Koresh, two of these zones that have been like in the lore, but like uh, not really explored fully. And I
Flesh.
think it was cool to have
Yeah.
them, yeah, get fleshed out during War Within.
And hold on.
Hmm. What'd you say? All right. I think he said hold on. So I'm just gonna continue and
Okay, sorry.
oh, you're good. Something I think is less likely, but could still happen. New class. Um, I have no idea what the new class would be.
I yeah, I thought we were gonna get a void up void demon hunter class
That's
spec.
true. I guess I'll put Void Demon Demon Hunter somewhere else. Void Demon Hunter in another spot. New class. People are saying Tinker. People always say Tinker. People are saying Bard. People are always saying Bard. I really don't know what the new class would be. Maybe something related to like Blood Elves, like Spellbreaker. I don't.
Spellbreaker or like a
I don't. How
Spellblade
do you
kind
really make a
of class.
Spellbreaker that's like different from Paladin though? That's one thing I was thinking. Like this tank that excels at soaking magic damage. Like I really don't. I really don't know how that's super different from a Paladin. So I don't really know what the new class would be. I'm not gonna throw my hat in the ring and say like Tinker or anything like that. Tinker is one of those. I mean, we've been talking about it since BFA. I feel like after BFA was like the best part to do it, but then we took like a hard left turn into Shadowlands that no one saw coming, and
Yeah.
so um, that would have been a good time to do Tinker. We just got done with Mechagon. We saw a bunch of stuff. Like that was the time where it was like Tinker, but no Tinker. So I really don't know if when we're ever gonna get Tinker. I really don't know if when we're gonna get a whole lot of other classes. If I'm being honest, I do feel like we're kind of getting like slightly bloated in terms of like too many classes. Um, I really feel
I
like
see
the
that.
evoker, while they are an interesting class, a lot of their designs have been like super samey and like kind of boring in terms of like raid tier. Like if you showed me every single raid tier of Drakthir and asked me where it came from, I would not be able to tell you. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, they get all look the same.
And the fact that they're in their
Same
dragon
problem.
form all the time like muddies the waters even more. I guess that's like one way you can say they stand out is the fact that they do have this like super customizable dragon form, but like I don't know. I think it'd be cool to get like a new support class, so maybe like a new support Spec options. Um, I think it'd be kind of cool if we got like a rogue bard instead of like the bard being its own class. Like maybe bard could be like a spec for rogue, where they're like sort of a support class, but also they do damage, like augment evoker. I think that could be kind
I
of
kind of
cool.
wonder if they would still be using sword and dagger. Maybe a new weapon class.
They could do like a one-handed sword, kind of like a fencing sword, and then like their instrument could be like the other slot.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
harp or something.
a
Or it's
harp
just
or like a lute or a flute, like whatever they want to do. Like people want to have different customization options for their bards. I think that would be cool. Um, but yeah, I really don't know. I haven't really thought about like fleshing out a bard super well because it's not really. I know that this is gonna like ruffle a bunch of feathers within like the roleplay community, but like I don't think bards are super interesting. Like in terms of like roleplay mechanics, I think they're cool in terms of like I love artistic people and I love music, obviously, but it being like its own thing in something like World of Warcraft, I think would be not super interesting, at least in my opinion. You know, if they do add a bard, that would be cool for all the people that like bard, but just not something that I really care about. I still haven't even gotten into monk, and I've played every other class like ad nauseum. I still haven't gotten into monk,
yeah.
so like I really don't think bard is going to be something that I'm super interested in.
I don't think so either. I would like. I think it would be really cool as an offshoot a class that's not specifically monk related, but more of a street brawler, an actual like fighter.
A new monk spec that's like a brawler. Like,
Yeah,
how would
like
that work? What do you mean?
more. I guess in my mind, I would want it to be a tank, something related to like we only have one like unarmed class that is monk, and it's
Right.
shaman. But I would like a different kind of like unarmed class.
Different unarmed
Not re- not
class.
not relate. I don't know how to describe it in my head.
Right.
In my words, but in my head it would be a DPS class that is more into like the punching, not really using just all their physical capabilities, but not without any of the magic that monk has.
Okay. That would be cool for sure. I really don't think that's going to be something that like they do is the only problem with that.
Oh, sure.
What I'm trying, well, yeah, we're trying to do predictions. So we filled out the main area. Now we're just filling out the external area of the um boxes here. So these are obviously like more less likely, but still kind of likely. So we got new neighborhoods. I'm just gonna do like new house customization. Different race housing. I think that would be that's definitely a thing that's possible. Like blood elf houses, night elf houses, draenei houses, stuff like that. I know people would want Worgen housing. That whole Gilneas aesthetic has kind of gone underutilized. Like it shows up here and there. Like Valshara had like a random Worgen zone, Worgen area, but like that whole area has gone kind of like that whole aesthetic of like English, you know, Victorian style English buildings has gotten kind of underutilized. So like I definitely think housing is a great option for that to be shown off more in the game.
Yeah.
Something that I always think about that I just never know um, if they're ever gonna do it, but you know, obviously I would love it. Is like Taliesin talks about it a lot too, and it's something that I've been talking about for a long time too. Is like class skins. Um, So like you could be like a shaman, but like lean more into that like troll witch doctor aesthetic. I think that would be cool. Um,
And your elementals reflect the troll, like
Loas and
Loa.
stuff. Yeah, class, um, customization. I guess I'll call it customization. Um, I think that would be really cool. People would like that. Uh, it would be nice to like maybe have like a demonology warlock customization that's like a necromancer where they just summon like a legion of skeletons and shit. That'd be cool. I don't know if they'll ever do it, but like obviously it would be cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I would love for them to do something like
I
that.
think I spelled
Give
customization wrong because I'm dumb. All right.
give classes more flavor without
Yeah.
changing the core gameplay. Like for Fury Ward, you can make them a gladiator, just have them use a two-handed sword for one hand and using like a shield transmog for their offhand, and they still would attack the same. I don't think that
Yeah.
would be a bad idea. I feel like it'll provide some much more needed content for players to like play around with.
I've been thinking this whole time while we've been talking about this. One thing that like I kind of thought about that would be sort of interesting is, and this is something that like I don't think it ever got fully like clarified in at the end of Shadowlands, but like some kind of scourge presence um, in the Ghostlands. There is a whole quest line that you do as a Blood Elf where you go into the Ghostlands and you find out that like since the Lich King lost the Helm of Domination, the Scourge has been kind of just like running around doing their own shit. And the
Mhm.
Sand Lane specifically have like kind of stepped up to be like these commanders of their own little like armies of Scourge. And you go and try to stop them in the Ghostlands, but it does seem like they are running amok. So maybe there'll be some kind of Scourge presence that we have to clean up in the Ghostlands. I think that'd be cool. I really don't want to tread like the Arthas stuff anymore because I feel like people are kind of over Arthas at this point with how he was handled in Shadowlands. But like some kind of Scourge presence does seem likely in Ghostlands, especially. Um, I'm trying to think of like a last thing here for what what could be in the midnight thing. Let's see. I'm really trying to think. Something that could be in midnight that I do feel like I really don't know like what kind of like new thing midnight's gonna have. That's kind of the one thing that I'm like sort of confused by is like every expansion has its like its thing. Like this is the thing,
Yeah,
especially these days. Every expansion is built around like one core feature. And so like, you know, ever since Legion, like artifact weapons, BFA had the necklace, Shadowlands had the covenants, Dragonflight had dragon riding was kind of like the core thing that they built a lot of the game around. Um, War Within obviously had like the hero talents. So I really think Midnight needs to have like some kind of something special that makes it like its
stand out.
primary. Yeah, it makes it stand out because if we just get like more hero talents, which I do think is kind of likely, maybe this should be like the last slot. Um, like some kind of expansion on the hero talent system, add some more stuff, you know, maybe a shaman one that's like witch doctor. You could kind of tie it into the class customization too, which would be kind of a smart way to do it because that's already what they're doing. Like Dark Ranger was a much asked for like hunter customization, and so it does seem possible that something like that could happen. So I guess I'll just put hero talent.
It really seems like hero times are gonna be an evergreen part of the game where they're just gonna keep adding to it. At least I would
Yeah.
hope so. Where it just isn't just left behind with just one expansion.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Um, that does sum up the predictions that I have for midnight. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. And on Tuesday, the what 19th, right? Tuesday the 19th at 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time in America, we are going to get the reveal at midnight. And I guess we'll see how much of this is correct. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold on to this. And I'll have it ready for reveal day. And we'll see how much I got right, how much I got wrong. Uh, anyone who watches this, go ahead and leave comments down below what you think I'm right about, what you think I'm wrong about, what you'd like to see in Midnight, all that stuff. I'm very interested in what other people are saying about Midnight. I do think this is going to be um, the expansion that Blizzard has to do right. Like, obviously, you want all the expansions to be good, but I do think
It's just
Dragonflight and War Within were, at least for me, sort of mediocre. They definitely weren't like a Legion. I would like this to be a Legion. Legion was a great expansion, brought a lot of people back to the game. People still love it. That's why we're getting a remix of it. But I do think Midnight could be another Legion level expansion. This is the first time it does feel like we're actually going home, actually going back to Azeroth, to
yeah.
home. Khazalgar does not feel like home. I'm sorry. I know it is on Azeroth, but it does not feel like home. And so Midnight is the expansion that is us going home. Drop Dragonflight, not War Within, Midnight. So hopefully Blizzard does it justice. The Blood Elves are my personal favorite race in the entire game, and so I really want their homeland to be expanded upon and done really well. And I think Blizzard can do it. They've shown in the past that they know how to handle all the Blood Elf lore, and so hopefully they do another good job again. Of course, I've been Shinyman, and this has been my friend Molor doing this video for you guys. So I hope you enjoy it. Um, and I'm looking forward to midnight. Hope you guys are too. Thank
See
you.
you guys at the midnight release.
Oh yeah.